Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you know you're looking good. I am Kira, as you know, as you are well aware. And I saw this thing on YouTube and I was like, ooh, that would be really cool to kind of talk about and unpack a little bit. Those of you who are have been my students over there at Schaefer Institute, hello, y'all. And I think this is a good supplement to all the things that you have learned and as you're kind of developing your practice and that kind of thing. So I think this is going to be really helpful. And there's Bridget. What is up, Bridget? Nice to see you. All right, and please, guys, say hi to me as you pop on here. I'd love to connect with you and say hi to you. So we've got some really cool kind of stuff going on, but I had this like real draw because I've had really not great coaches and not great helpers in my life. And if anything, they help me to really get clear about the helpers that I really love and I really connect with. So they were great teachers in that regard, but not necessarily all that helpful within the issue that I was working on. And I know you guys get what I mean by that. You know, we have people that come into our lives to help us know what we don't want, right? All right. So, oh, hey, it's Kim. What's up, Kim? Oh my gosh. We are, oh, very cool. Okay, you just got a message from your foster daughter. Okay, yeah, cool. So I'm so excited to see you in Scamania. Very excited about that, Kim. So happy to see you. Yep, you get it, right? We get it. We get it. If anybody on here is listening, you may have, done your own self-work and your own self-care. You may have, gone to a bunch of different places and like me, seen a lot of different types of gurus and realized, of course, in the end, ultimately, the only guru that matters is you, right? That's when we work with our clients, when we help people to move in the direction of their dreams, it is very important that we remember who really, truly is at the heart of this. And we are just helpmates, right? Yeah, good. Yeah, Kim says, oh, yes, yes. All right, so here's the deal. I kind of broke these up into 4 different types of kind of coaches and that kind of thing. If I want to, and I'll make maybe a bonus one here as well. And this will be the worst one. Okay. The worst type, for example, that we want to make sure that we have a really good awareness around, either as a client or as someone who is going into becoming a coach or a hypnotherapist or whatever it is that you're doing or perhaps doing already. I'm sure if you're already doing this, I'm sure you're not doing these things that I'm getting ready to say. This first one here is the big one, which is my way or the highway. My way or no way. My way of coaching you is the only way to be. Please run as fast as you can in the opposite direction if you ever hear anything like that. It is absolutely impossible, right? You may find something or somebody may have found something that is really good, very effective for a lot of people, but it's not going to be the only way. There's no magic bullet, right? There's no magic pill. There's nothing that's going to be like a one and done for all people. So yeah, run from that. If you feel strongly that your way is the only way, I would invite you to expand your consciousness a bit, expand and explore some different areas. I think that's going to be really helpful in the long run. I went to a guy and it was very mystical. And did you see me clench my jaw a little bit? I got a little clench there. And it was very mystical and magical. It was like my first introductions to kind of advanced energy work type of stuff. I had already done like Reiki training and had a great teacher who just blew the doors off of my consciousness in amazing ways and helped me to transcend some of the massive amounts of trauma and abuse that I experienced in my life. And she did it with integrity. She did it with love. And there was never a only my way situation. She was very allowing, very permissive to my experience. And I think she was the first person that I ever talked to that I felt truly listened to me. And we'll go into that a little bit more in just a moment, but not my story necessarily, but just the process. But anyway, so I go to this guy and I'm kind of, energetically wide open, right? I'm like, I had such a great first experience with somebody that I didn't think anyone in an energetic world, the Reiki world, the intuitive healing world would ever harm me, or certainly not intentionally. And I don't think this was intentional on his part. And I don't think that he harmed me necessarily. It was just a great learning experience. So I go to this fella and it almost was as if my identity, not the I, the little I, but almost like the I am, was my ability to tap into my power, my strength, my ability, started to elude me around this person. It was almost as if I was giving my power over to them. And it was almost as if it wasn't even within my control. And again, I was very green. Okay. And I didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into because I thought everyone had that pure intention, that pure heart. And so I go into it and just energetically, it felt as though I was just absolutely not who I am, my true self. And there was some of that breaking down of walls and that kind of thing. At least that was the perception that was being presented. And he was very clear about his way being the only way. And, when you're in that kind of suggestible state and open to everything, it can be really easy to fall into that trap of going, okay, well, maybe that's true. And I do feel somewhat better, and then almost convincing yourself that it's right and it's not. And so I personally just after that time, because I actually had another energy worker, step in and say, honey, there's something very wrong here. And she did a cord cutting and she did all this kind of stuff. And she was like, you know what, this was interesting because she said, go into the movies. Cause I was like, I got to go to the movies. I got to distract. Something is wrong with me. I go into the movies and she said, when you go in, stay in there, enjoy yourself, just relax. When you get out, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel yourself again. I'm kidding you not. I walked out of that movie theater. Could be some suggestible stuff, but I think very much so an energetic thing. I walked out of the movie theater and I felt so much better. That is when I wanted to learn how to cord cut. I was like, okay, I'm never allowing this to happen again, right? Okay, so that's the somewhat worst case scenario. There's even worse case scenarios than that. But if you ever hear anybody saying my way or the highway, all right, it's the highway and I'm going to go down the road because there is somebody that's not going to do that to me and just wants to love me and care for me and be kind to me. Right. So good. So let's see. So there's really four main ones that I want to touch on. So there's first that negating coach. And I don't know if you've seen this before. These are going to be maybe more business coaches and people who are trying to bust you out of the, the paradigm that you might be stuck in. So I can certainly say that there is absolutely time and place for those kinds of coaches. But a negating coach could also be very calm, very quiet, very gentle in their approach. But the entire time you've told them this story about how, perhaps you were in a situation where you were invalidated, you were put down, somebody hurt you or harmed you, and they're trying to get you to see the other person's side. They're trying to get you to see where potentially you did something wrong, right? And I think about this. It's like, if there's, Kids kind of do this. They'll be like, that kid came up to me and did something. And well, what did you do to the kid? So this is very kind of basic stuff, right? Like it can be somewhat effective when we are trying to, maybe in couples, connection, reconnection, trying to get them to see each other's point of view or perspective. But when it comes to coaching with someone individually, it actually can create a feeling or a sense of distrust between them, the client, and the person that's being the helpmate, the coach, counselor, helper, therapist. Because what has happened usually in their life has been where they have been, and depending upon the situation they're telling you about, they may have actually been told that they were wrong, not enough, aren't doing it right. They've been devalued. They've been, told that their opinion doesn't matter, that kind of thing. And so my recommendation there, of course, is to make sure that that you allow yourself the opportunity as their therapist, or as if you're going as a client, that you pay attention to this. So the main thing is that you're not wrong. No matter what feeling you have that has come up in you, or any of the situations that you've experienced, you've truly felt those feelings. And regardless of whether you're wrong or did it wrong or said it wrong or was really messy about it, your therapist's primary position is on the side of you. Whether you need to see something differently, that could be one thing, and help move you through a process. But ultimately, to be told you're invalid and not seeing things clearly doesn't actually help. So, that's one thing. So anybody that discounts or negates what you're saying, and as a therapist or as a coach, I recommend that that you see it from the innocence of your client's perspective, and help gently move them in the direction that will help them to actually heal the situation, right? All right, so we've got negating. So that's the first one. The second one is kind of, this is the one that I got a lot, right? Okay, so I had severe anxiety. Could not, I had two different types. So I had the first one, which would be the panic attack hyperventilation. I would walk down a hallway, like at school or something in a high school, and all of a sudden, the walls would close in, and I was going to pass out, either from hyperventilation or just from absolute sheer terror, for no reason. There was no stimulation. There was nothing to say. There was nothing going to attack me, nothing like that. And so that was one type of anxiety I experienced. Another type was when I went to college after a few traumatic experiences there. And I sat down. I would sit down. I sat down, this one particular one, this one memory that I have, I sat down and I went to tie my shoes, and then I just didn't get back up. I just sat there, and I had that paralyzing anxiety. It's not always very active, right? It can be something that almost looks very much like depression. So anyway, I went to a counselor, and I've gone to several legitimate board certified licensed counselors and psychologists and psychiatrists and things. And one of the things that they would do is they would have me tell my story. But during my story, they were just kind of blank. They would have me almost try to fix myself in a way. And it was so how does that make you feel? So how does that make you feel? And it's so interesting, it's so interesting. So it's mainly that when I would go into those kinds of situations, I didn't feel helped. I didn't feel as though I could actually, one, express what I was feeling, because I couldn't quite get to it myself, because I wasn't being asked the right questions. I wasn't asked any questions really, other than, oh, tell me more about that. and sometimes that can be really good. It can be really helpful, but at other times it's not, it's really not, so finding the path is really important. So that's the second type, where it's kind of just, they're causing you to be your own coach. And so it's something to have awareness of. All right. So Kim's been saying some things. Move on down the road. An overactive amygdala. Yeah, very much so. Yeah. My limbic system was on fire a lot of the time. So anyway, the next piece is, or the next one would be the novice. So this would be a coach or a counselor or somebody who just learned something online, over the weekend, over a couple of days maybe, and did not actually hone their skills or practice, with a lot of different people before bringing it, into the world, right? So if this could be like it could be a totally legit, right, clinical therapist, and who is just practicing something. So in that case, you would feel kind of like the test dummy from the car crash test dummy. And you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? And they can offer a lot of really good tools and things like that, but ultimately it may not actually suit you best long term. So that's somebody who has, just kind of been like, oh, well, let me just give you a handout, but they can't find the handout, or they're kind of not really versed in it. They're trying to give you definitions of the idea they want to present to you, but they don't actually have any understanding or true understanding of unconscious competence that would help them to really help you with that particular tool. And so it's so important. And when I do this with my students, yes, we may have a weekend where we really dive deep into the systems or the work that we do, or how to do the work and that kind of thing. But they have modules and videos that they watch way before they even come to the classes, because that part of it is about integrating the information, integrating the knowledge and know-how. So if somebody's just like, hey, let me try this thing out on you, that's probably not it. If you are knowing that that's what you're going into it for, it's like, oh, I'm going to be their practice partner. That's one thing. But having somebody be very, very green and not really fully invest in what it is that they're wanting to share with you, that's another thing, right? So that's one other type of coach, therapist, that kind of thing, something to have awareness of. It doesn't mean that that's necessarily what they do all the time, but if you're working through something really challenging, you might want them to just, stay with the thing that you initially came there to see them for, as well as, my students and practitioners, you guys definitely make sure that you have plenty of practice hours and a lot of really good feedback, so that you know what works well and those things that don't work as well for you. Okay, and then we have finally is that supportive coach, therapist, that person that has all the right questions, who is dedicated to helping you move through anything that you have going on. And this person is willing to be wrong. They're willing to go down a different road. They're willing to design a different approach if necessary. This supportive therapist is going to connect with you at a very deep level. You're going to feel very naturally connected to them. It's going to be an easy conversation to have. You're going to have a nice flow in that conversation, because there's one thing in there that is really, really key. They are on your side. They're on your side. And even if, and there were times when I've had clients where, their ego was right there. And it did not want to back down. And I would have to say, okay, I see you. I completely see you in this. I see where you are. Here's where I see you are. And then tell them where you see them to be. And sometimes they would say, no, I'm not quite there, but I am here. And it helped open up a new pathway. It helped open up a new understanding, because that communication it's a two-way street. It's not, hypnotherapist, client, hypnotherapist, it's hypnotherapist, client, right? It's not hypnotherapist. It is this beautiful dynamic of connection. And so as you're getting the information and relaying it back, they're able to get clearer about what it is that they're wanting to do. I'm not saying that you do this every single time, right? When you talk to a client and you're like, they say, I'm having a bad day. So I'm hearing you're having a bad day. Okay. Yep, that's what it said. Maybe not that, right? We want to have a really easy flow in our conversation to just help move them to a next logical step, because that's really all that is necessary is yes, we have tools, we have perceptions, we have the ability as hypnotherapists to be able to change the mindset, to adjust the formation of the ideas and belief systems and the memories and all those kinds of things, and the feelings and the emotions and the triggers and the angers and all of these things that are happening as hypnotists, as if you happen to be a hypnotist, but even if you're a coach or an NLP practitioner, you have this ability to help transform the perspective that they happen to be dealing with. And to do that, you can't negate them. You can't be kind of blank and try to make them figure it out for themselves. You don't want to be a novice. You don't want to be that person who's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like what? Well, I don't know. It's finding that way to be as supportive as possible with your clients that helps them to develop in a way that helps them unfold, their own understanding. So let me give you an example of what this might look like. Let me see if I can just kind of pull one together. Okay, so if a client were coming to me, one thing is I want to know why they're there. What is it that you want? Why are you here? What do you want? Not so much why me, although that could come up, like hypnotherapy, because that can be important. But if they start to tell me the story, if they go back all the way to the beginning of their life, right, which I've done many times, if they go back all the way to the beginning of their life, that tells me a couple of things. They've been trained by other psychologists or counselors or other people to continue to relive their story over and over and over again. Usually when somebody comes to somebody like an NLP practitioner or a coach hypnotherapist, they have told their stories a lot of times, and they're not getting to the healing that they're needing because they're just stuck in their story. So you can learn a lot that way. But the other thing is that when they're talking to you, is being an active listener and connecting with them in a way that perhaps nobody ever has before. And this is what I mean by that. Somebody says to me, yeah, I had this really horrible experience with my wife, and she was just absolutely just belligerent. She was angry. She was so hostile, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I felt so bad because I love her with all of my heart, and she's so beautiful. And I know that, there's this line between it just being a bad day and it being something that's all the time. And it feels like it's just been all the time. So I would probably ask that person, and talk to them and just say, I really see that. I understand how that feels personally in another way, but also I can sense and feel that frustration that you have. And I know it just seems pretty overwhelming. And so let's just talk a little bit more about it. That way it helps to just connect. The main thing that I have ever felt when I work with clients in the past is that if I can connect with them, see them, and get where they're coming from, even though I may have never had the exact same experience before, it's like just this light goes on in them. All of a sudden they feel and I know I've experienced this myself, so I know what this feels like to really be seen by someone. They feel as though they're finally being heard. And if they've had previous experiences with other people where they are trying to get therapy and trying to get help, where they don't get that experience, they've had a novice or somebody that's kind of like, well, how does that make you feel? And then, or they just get negated. They've never felt that feeling of knowing that somebody just really is on their side. And so being that support is wonderful. So building that rapport right away, very, very helpful. And also being interested. You know, people are very interesting. People are extremely interesting. I've seen thousands of clients, and I tell you what, people are fascinating. I mean, and the more you realize this and you take that mindset is that everyone is fascinating, I tell you, it's instant rapport, number one, but primarily you are living the dream. Like you are living a life where people are just so cool. Like you're like, wow, I really want to help this person, but also these stories that I have heard are absolutely amazing. Some things coming from massive amounts of trauma, massive amounts of pain, all the way to, you know, people who have just been incredibly courageous. And some people who have been absolutely, absolutely amazing, but no one has ever acknowledged that. So as you are connecting with your clients, keep that in mind. That's just one little piece, just seeing someone, but it's the biggest piece of all. So being that support, being that connecting person will help you to know what you would like to do next with your client. If you are a client, and if you are someone who is looking for a hypnotherapist or you're looking for a coach or whatever, these are some of the flags, you know, it's just, these are some yellow flags, really. They're not necessarily red flags. My first bonus one was the red flag one. These are more like yellow. And sometimes the coach will go in and out, right, of different styles. You know, they may have just learned something and they just want to share this tool with you. That's fine. The majority of your conversation is about them being really supportive and helpful for you. And then there's other times where they may just say, hey, you know what? I just want to listen to you. So just tell me how you feel about that. It's okay. The majority of the time, it's something else. And then, of course, if they're helping you see another person's perspective and not negating you the entire session, those are things to be aware of and look out for as you kind of, you know, either get, because listen, as a hypnotherapist, you know, and as a teacher now, and I got to tell you, I need my coaches. I need my people. And I am very discerning when it comes to who I allow into this crazy. Like I'm very discerning. And so I know all of the things. So there's one part of it is, you know, like a doctor doesn't make a very good patient. It's the same thing. It really is the same thing with us as well, with any type of coach, healer, you know, whatever, hypnotist, NLP practitioner, because we know the game that we're playing, and we know the game you're playing. So we know what things you're going to use, you know, to help us to get to where we want to be. But here's the deal. The ego is crafty on us healer types. You know, we know some of those fail safes in there, and we have to allow ourselves to release that and then just work with the people that feel best to us. And usually those are going to be the supportive ones. I wanted to share this little video with you just to connect some dots maybe that you have been thinking about as a clinician and as a client too. So I just wanted to pop on, say hi, and do that. I felt very drawn to it. It felt fun to me which is what it's all about. It's what it's all about. I had been doing a lot of channeling, obviously, before. Channeling and hypnotherapy go like peas and carrots. Okay. Because my way to go into a channel state is by putting myself into hypnosis. So most of the people that you have ever seen that channel are in a state of hypnosis. So I learned, it's interesting. I learned how to do energy work. I learned how to do Reiki. Then I learned hypnosis. And then I was channeling before I learned hypnosis, but I really got to go deeper into the different levels with channeling after I learned my hypnosis. So, and a lot faster and a lot clearer and a lot cleaner, right? So I've had this, really good process with it. And so even though this was not a channeling video, and I'll be doing more of those here coming up, I've been feeling a lot better. I've kind of come out of my fog from my dehydration. And a lot of good things I think are coming down the pike. That's what I feel. That's what I feel anyway. But I wanted to offer this to you as a little bit of a love gift. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Kim, for joining me live. If you are on replay, hit hashtag replay so I know that that you're seeing it. And I love you. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Take care, Kim. Great affirmations. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in Scamania, girlfriend. Whoop, whoop. Bye. Love you.